Laguna Seca was quite a challenge for our drivers, and though it's much more well known for road course racing than Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the difficulty level has not gone down. This twisty and winding roval will keep everyone on their toes. Will Connor Bloom prove as fast as last round? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Porsche Owners Club eRacing League, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ryan Jones. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. Since many of our audience might not be aware that Las Vegas even has a road course inside its more famous oval, why don't we head down to our track guide to show what it's all about. Welcome to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Though the oval is perhaps the main attraction at this facility, there are multiple road course layouts that can be run. Thankfully for Vegas race fans, the track is situated very close by, just northeast of the city. With 3 different circuits ranging from 3/4 of a mile to just over 2 miles, it's the perfect place for lower to mid-level powered cars. While the combined version offers up a chance for drivers to get a real taste of speed on the oval, the infield portions are quite tight and technical. The tall curbs and some unusual combination of corners keeps even skilled drivers on their toes. While the wide-open nature of the runoff makes it ideal for weekend hobbyists to take their track day cars out for a spin, there are a few places in which dangers lurk. The exit onto the oval narrows and dares drivers to keep their foot planted while putting in a great deal of steering angle. The return to the infield is no better with its tight radius and unforgiving walls ready to snatch up the greedy. Then, of course, there's the final corner exit, where brave drivers will be willing to drift right up to the pit wall. All in all, Las Vegas Motor Speedway's road course options can provide both fun and challenges. With Sin City so close by, it's no wonder so many drivers love to come out for some fun in the desert sun. It's a neat little circuit that they're running on, but as we heard, there's 3 different versions. So, Ryan, why don't you go over the specifics of this layout that we're running tonight?
Yeah, good evening, Joe. Good evening, everyone at home. This is an interesting layout. It is very technical for these drivers. There's a couple of very tight corners, coupled with, of course, almost the entire oval section of the racetrack as well. Start-finish line situated actually in the infield course, as you can see there on the screen, which means pit road is also down on the infield. We don't use the oval start-finish line or pit road, which is good because it is a standing start today, which means I won't be standing on the grid on the banking. but there is a couple very tight entryways between the oval and the infield course. Joe, 2 little gates. One's alright, the other one is extremely tight and is at the exit of a corner. That is going to be a trouble spot today. That's the turn at number 8 on the circuit.
Yeah, and I suspect that we'll see at least a few incidents there as the day goes by. Before we get to the racing itself, let's remind you of our sponsors, starting with Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. Find out more about them at octaviotequila.com. This race is also brought to you by Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Big thanks to all of our sponsors that help make this one come to air. And of course, let's look at the championship now that we've got one round down. We mentioned Connor Bloom with his win last week up at the top of things. Krickenberger only 5 points back, and Silva 8 points back. There's no bonus points in this series, so this how they finished is essentially how you see them on the order, with Lawrence and McLaughlin finishing out our top 5. It's going to be tight behind them because they only score points to the top 10, and then from 10th on down, it's 2 points to each person, and they're all even and tied from there on back. So very much in demand. Let's take a look as well at what today's race itself will entail, Ryan.
Yeah, round 2 of a very quick 4-rounder season, of course, using the Porsche 718 GT4 Clubsport. This is, of course, the inaugural season for the Porsche Owners Club Sim Racing League. Just a short 30-minute race, open setups, which means drivers can adjust the car and the handling to their liking, provided they have the know-how to do so. And a 30-minute qualifying session, of which there is 90 minutes remaining, and it's currently underway.
But
Ooh,
what's
Joey,
interesting...
that's that gate I was talking about, that corner that we just saw on screen there.
Yeah, it is incredibly narrow. I'm impressed that one car can fit through there, let alone possibly 2 if anybody dares try it. Krickenberger right now is actually our provisional pole sitter. Bloom is down in 4th, and it's not for lack of trying. He's put in plenty of them here in the qualifying, but still is not able to find anything. And in fact, it looks like he's waiting at pit exit right now, just trying to find himself some track space. This isn't a terribly long lap, and we've got about 30 cars out there, so looks like it's getting difficult to find yourself some open gaps there.
Yeah, it is, thankful. And another thing to note is because how much the oval section we use, that's all 100% throttle out there, which also means slipstream effect is massive. If you get behind someone at the optimal range, you can gain a huge amount of time. I would say maybe towards half a second even, just from being behind them. Of course, then you're going to be held up through the infield section, so ideally, slingshot by them right before the entry to the turn 7 area, but there's also that to consider.
Let's not forget that there was some problems with lap traffic last time, so hopefully that's not as much of an issue this time as drivers circulate during the 30 minutes. Palmer looks like he doesn't improve. Colin Queen did, though. He's taken the pole away from Krickenberger, who's back out there and trying once again. It's less than a tenth between Krickenberger and Queen currently. I think Justin just crossed the line. Looked like he had a non-lap, as he must have had an off track there watching. Oh, and Silva just took it away just now. That was the yellow car we saw on screen, a tenth quicker than Queen.
Great lap from Silva as, who was that out in the weeds there? Let's see if Peter Ladia can find an improvement with a best of 1:19.01 so far. He's going to come across the start-finish stripe just there on the track. He goes 4/10 slower, so it doesn't improve that time by.
I'm curious what weeds you see out in the desert out here, because it seems like a
Yeah,
whole
I
lot of
mean,
nothing.
it's
Lawrence
an
is,
expression.
yeah, I knew what you meant. Lawrence, who's in 7th, is going to start off once again, getting out the pit lane. Bloom, who we're watching, bumped down to 6th at this point. Shocking compared to what we saw from him. Just impressive pace, both in qualifying and in the race back at Laguna Seca. Let's see if he's got a good one this time around. His last lap did not count. It's a tricky final corner here. Onto the main straight. Got to keep it out of that wall to the outside, separating the pit lane. And it's his quickest lap yet, a 16.7. That's going to put him up to third. One thing we should mention, sorry to interrupt, is I just took a glance at the thermometer, and appropriately for the desert, we have some scorching track temperatures.
Do we? Oh, damn, 54 degrees. Yeah, that is hot and slippery for those drivers. The track will be very greasy with the sun beating down on it as well. Only partly cloudy, so not much cloud cover. Yeah, that's going to be a very contentious point for those drivers. They'll have to deal with that throughout the race. Thankfully, the tyre shouldn't wear too much over the 30 minutes, but they'll definitely be feeling it through these corners.
And McLaughlin having some trouble out of the final turn. Slides into the infield, and he'll have to get back out to try one more time. Still 5 minutes left in the qualifying, and these laps go by relatively quick, just over a minute in time for most of our drivers. Bolton as well into the infield here. Now, one thing I found, because I hopped in for a few laps myself around this track since I'd never tried it before, those curbs in the infield can be kind of nasty. Look at how tall they are, especially compared to these little Porsches. Bolton across the line. Looks like he doesn't improve that time by. Queen's still sitting in his pit stall, so he seems happy with that front row. Same thing with Silva on the pole. Bloom's still trying. Didn't improve last time around. Krickenberger is back out there. He's about 2/10 off of Silva, out in 4th place. We're riding on board with Abrams, though, in 16th. I feel like that pit wall going to be a big danger zone as well. Coming out of the final corner, drivers who dare push the limit out of there.
Most of this track's going to be a danger zone.
I'd say
on
so.
iRacing, this isn't used very often, is it? In fact, this is the first time in about a year and a half I've ever used this track or loaded it up in my sim. So, for some of the drivers who haven't been here in real life, learning what the track, which way it goes at the moment, but it also means there's some quite dangerous sections on the racetrack, because I've just seen a 3-car crash in qualifying, and but Sumin has got a car loaded up on top of him, or at least he did, until they towed back to pits.
Yeah, it's I can't imagine trying to drive this in real life, especially in these cars, because they are not slow. Yes, they're GT4, so they're kind of mid-level racing cars, but you get up quite a bit of speed, and considering here in the sim, they're hitting, let's see, it looks like maybe 140, 145 miles an hour at the end of the backstretch when they hit the brakes. That's really trucking.
Here it is, getting up to very high speeds. I could imagine driving one of these cars in real life. One day.
Yeah. I'd certainly love to give it a go. I'd probably take it a little bit slower through here than you would in the sim. Watching Bruns now as he comes around that final double apex, last right-hand corner, and he's actually going to take it into the pits. Don't think he's going to be able to get back out in time for another qualifying lap. Wassel as well, who is in the top 10. He's coming into that little gate that we were talking about. This will give us a good view of just how tiny this is. Almost reminds me of some Formula E circuits.
Yeah, actually, it does. Maybe we'll get Formula E on the service one day.
As Wassel comes out of the final turn, his quickest is a 17 flat for that 10th place. Is this going to be any better? Nope, it's an 18.4. That is well off of his quickest. So he's got to continue around one more time. He might get 2 more tries since he crossed just at over a minute 20 to go. Bloom and Krickenberger in third and fourth rather have not improved. Quick shout out though to fifth place driver Oviat, has got a good one going right now with the top 5 in qualifying. It's another one that's about 2/10 off of our quickest time out there. And as we watch the car behind him, Roban, come across, looks like Oviat did improve. Roban also a little bit slower than his quickest. These drivers all starting their last lap of qualifying with less than 1:16 left to go. Can Connor Bloom do it this time, or is he going to have to try for the last lap across? He's going to have to go for the last lap, being his quickest if he wants to get the pole away, because that one was still not faster than his 16.7.
It wasn't. This will be his final effort too, as well. Just 15 seconds remaining. What about Vahi Aryan? Can he find an improvement? Trying to prop up ahead of 28th place. Looks like he's going to stay there. Jacob Abrams currently just outside of the top 10 looking in. He is a second slower than his previous best. That's him done. Nielsen Lawrence can't improve either. A lot of drivers struggling to find the extra couple tenths late on in the session. Jonathan Golden, I think, going to be in a similar boat here.
Yep, just not quick enough, and he's the first to take the checkered flag. Eric Walsh, let's see what he's got. Nothing, as that lap did not count. Bruins also no improvement. Scott Adams will be the next one in the number 4, and he stays put. Yeah, this heat out there, I think, is making it very tough to make gains.
John Mamiya hasn't managed to put a lap down yet. This looks like a very conservative lap, just trying to get one down. Look how aggressively that flagman's waving that checkered flag.
He's very into his job. Bloom doesn't go faster. Yeah, and Stad stays put as well. Heindel also... No, Heindel actually got his quickest in. That's going to put him in 21st. Looks like Slavic is going to abandon his final lap. Italian, let's see what the number 88 has got. A 19.6 is his fastest, and that's got him in 28th position, and he doesn't go quicker that time by. Abrams doesn't either. Looks like Bruin's going to be the next one, the California driver. No, he ran out of time. So our qualifying is set. Let's go through our starting order. Nico Silva on the pole with Justin Krickenberg next to him. Colin Queen starts in third, followed by Connor Bloom, in fourth place. Eric Oviat starts P5. Outside of row 3, Thomas Boilo will be in 6th, and Nielsen Lawrence starts 7th. Savak Vajarian starts in P8 with Scott Adams in 9th, and Wassel rounds out your top 10.
Lining up off 11th place for this one will be Jacob Abrams and James McLaughlin. On the outside of row 6, Matthew Hollander, Michael Bolton, 13th and 14th, Bayan Salehi, and running Bruns on row 8, David Nyhoff and Michael Roban. On the 9th row, top 20 going to be rounded out by Jonathan Golden and Peter Ladia.
Dustin Heindel will start 21st with Alan Stad in 22nd. Then you've got Alexander Hayner in 23rd. Jim Slavic, P24 for him, with Eric Walsh on the quarter century mark. Jeffrey Shulam starts 26th, and Ron Palmer in 27th. Last two to get times in, Vahi Atayan in 28th, and Armand Ambaryatsumian in 29th. John Momer in 30th did not get a time in, and it looks like he is gridding up. So, as we are running out of time for the cars to grid up, just about 3 more need to find their way out there. Then we'll get going for 30 minutes of racing for round 2 here in the Porsche Club eRacing League. As we take a look at some of our cars out there on the grid. Bloom, one of those we're waiting on. He's going to be starting in the 4th position. He plops his car out there now that he's happy with the setup of the car. Scott Adams, is he going to do a pit lane start, as he still hasn't made his way out with the rest of our drivers? Standing start here today. Could be tricky out onto the first few corners. And he is going to do a start from pit lane as the lights come up. Oh, and some false starts for 3rd and 5th place. And one car not going at the very front is going to get him turned around. One more car going to run into him. Everybody else behind looks like they're going to be able to make it through. A bit messy here up at the front of the field, and we're going to get another car tipped around. Bloom just turned queen, and we've got a bit of a traffic jam.
Track almost blocked. A few cars find their way through. Colin Queen backs it out onto the gravel. So jumping the start was Colin Queen, who's gone from bad to worse, and Eric Oviat. And Justin Krickenberger went nowhere off the start line, which caused that drama behind him. So I think Connor Bloom got into the back of him before getting into the back of Queen over at turn 2. Chaotic start, but leaders shake out as someone has gone to the fence in the background there. Who's that in second? That's Bloom. He's had a rough first lap so far.
Really has.
And
our leader just hit the gate. First time through, Nico Silva discovers the dangers of that corner. So Nielsen Lawrence, goes from 7th to the lead. And the very first lap, we've got a replay from Silva. Just overshot it just a little bit.
And Connor Bloom overshot as well, but he overshot it to a point where he went straight ahead. So, track already biting on these drivers after lap number 1. Top 3 have, despite that, got a very big margin over 4th place Hollander. 1.7 covering Lawrence back to Bloom in 3rd. 6.2 seconds back to Hollander.
Looking for some battles. I see Eric Walsh in P6 being chased down by Michael Bolton as they start to pick up speed. This will give us a good look on how this slipstream does, because he's a few car lengths back here, but they're starting to pick up speed.
Going to try to stay glued, or I would have expected him to try to stay glued, but he's trying to angle himself through the corner nicely, turn it down, use the banking on the track to gain some momentum. Looks like the car doesn't want to stay glued to that bottom, and he's not going to find much of an advantage through NASCAR 1 and 2 as they go hard under the brakes into the gate. Can they get it slowed down and stopped? They can. How tight is that? Oh, and off goes right in front of him. Yeah, sorry, Walsh. Yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at somewhere else as that happened. I thought you were talking about Wassel, who almost missed the gate as well. Worth noting that Bloom overtook Silva as we see a side-by-side battle between Bolton and Slavic. Slavic's going to take that away. Walsh is going to come back at Bolton and look to the inside of the very fast and tricky turn 1. He's not going to be able to get through there. Looking for a little bit of a later apex, and that might help him here coming off of turn 2. As now they're going to be flat to the floor all the way until they get to the braking for the gate. Right on board with Walsh. I can tell you that Silva is still riding the back of Bloom ever since he got overtaken for that 2nd place. I don't think he's going to make a move for it. Let's hop up to that, though, because he's still awful close. 2 very different lines between our 2 front runners on the bottom steps of the podium. Let's see if they take different lines here through the infield as well.
Gotta say, pretty good liveries on both those cars.
We had another driver bit by the gate, and actually a couple of them. Looks like Nyhoff was it this time, and the number 22.
Have you got yourself set up just like looking at the gate?
No, I saw a bunch of cars suddenly go to 0 on miles per hour in my timing and scoring, so I suspected something was up.
This is a replay. So this is David Nyhoff, heralding, of course, from California. So this is a home track of sorts for him. Wonder if he's been here in real life, and if he has, I wonder if he's made this same mistake. Oh, someone just missed the brake pedal by a few miles. A few country miles there. Nyhoff, completely blindsided by that.
Yeah, it certainly was not his fault. As we check out that race once again for 2nd place, Silva still keeping touch with Connor Bloom. As they come back to the infield once again. I almost feel like Silva is gun shy now, because Every time I see him come through the gate, he is incredibly shallow and tight through that corner. He doesn't get anywhere close to the outside.
Eric Walsh just bowled wide of the gate. The gate is now half blocked by Jim Slavic. He's literally... Slavic is blocking half of the gate. The gate is now 1 car width wide.
And this is really causing some problems. Now he takes a toe. That's a good move by him to try and make sure and open it up instead of back it into everybody's way, because you can see how many problems it caused there. Let's head to 4th, because Hollander's got a nice little fight as well, and this is McLaughlin. Oh, it looks like we're watching the replay one more time.
Oh, he was so close to making it through.
Oh, and then I'm not sure who that was. I think that was Oviat that almost snuck through, and then a car coming behind him didn't expect him to cut across. As we're now back live, and McLaughlin in the 301, the orange and yellow machine, is chasing the mint-colored car of Matthew Hollander. Let's see how they take the gates. A little bit of a look from McLaughlin. That's way too far back for that. Still tries to get in his mirrors. They're going to navigate it safely, but nicely done by both of them.
I think we need to add a gate to every racetrack.
I think some drivers may disagree with you on that one.
Look at the battle for P9 as well. That's pretty hot between Alan Sad and Jacob Abrams. They were side by side coming into the gate, and Abrams, probably rightfully so, decided that's probably not a great decision to go side by side through there, but nonetheless, he's still all over the back of him. Looks like it's very hard to follow through this infield section, doesn't it?
It really does. And having that car ahead, I'm sure, takes away a lot of the markers that you could have, since there's a whole lot of nothing there to really look at in the infield. So your reference points are all taken away. Abrams still chasing, and this is that important corner, turn 2. He'll take you through the first gate, the safer of the two, and then onto the oval portion. Just not the exit that he needed. He starts to fall away.
He does. The guy regroup up at the front. Connor Bloom is reeled in Nelson Lawrence, and he's all over the back of him now.
He has indeed. Laps looking very good for Connor Bloom. May not have had the qualifying pace here today, but certainly looks like he could challenge for a second victory in a row, as he's tucked up right underneath that 302. Coming onto the front stretch now. He'll get a little bit of a slipstream, but it's not a very long straight, and a defensive move down into the first turn for Nielsen Lawrence. Clips a lot of curb on top of it. Silva's still behind both of them, lurking. So don't discount the 28.
Bloom's right there. He might get a good benefit off the toe here down through the normal start to finish straight. You can see a couple of laps cars up in the distance too. That may play a part into this battle if they don't resolve it soon. The gap already coming down by a tenth of a second since they came out of gate number 1 through NASCAR 1 and 2. Edging ever closer is Bloom. Is he close enough for a look up the inside? Don't think so. Lawrence will just drive a slightly shallower line on the entry to the gate here, and Bloom will return to the normal racing line. I tell you what, Lawrence almost turned in a bit too early there and clipped the tyres on the inside.
Yeah, that had to have been hard to judge with him being off the racing line. Now we're getting into lap traffic. Who's going to get in the way of Lawrence? And he's going to spin off through the infield, handing Connor Bloom the lead easily. But now he's got to deal with this traffic. That's Atian, who's just going to pull out of the way, off to the side. See if he'll let Silva by. Nice little lift into turn 1. No, he's not going to lift. He's going to hold it side by side, and there's going to be more contact, almost running into Bloom as well, and more contact between the lapped car and our second place driver, wanting to try and get by, and he's losing tons of time.
Adian, get out of the way, my man. He's a lap down, and he's just absolutely torn apart the battle for the lead. Nielsen Lawrence spinning off to the inside. Silva losing 2 seconds to Bloom. That's disappointing, isn't it?
That was heartbreaking for Silva for sure. Bloom about the only one that got through there safely, it seems. Lawrence, the good news is he's got it going once again. He's still in third place. That sends him back to Hollander, about 3 seconds separating those two, third and fourth place. You see, that's Lawrence on screen right now in the black machine. Oh, and actually, when I wasn't looking, McLaughlin got by Hollander just now. Lawrence now flashing his lights at the very car that took him off at that very spot.
Got a replay up. And this is McLaughlin up the inside, up the gate, and gets it done very nicely. Pulled it up well, and Hollander just had to ease off there to avoid getting into him. And great move there from McLaughlin to put himself up into P4. 10 seconds off your race leader, Connor Bloom.
Going to 12th place, Boilo and Roban chasing one another there in the mid-pack. Coming down the front stretch in the infield, heading into this very swift right-hander. Loving the paint, though, by the way, on Thomas's number 7 car. Very eye-catching. And that was a great exit for that 7 machine. He's going to leave Roban in the dust with no response. As easily as Hollander got past, I think McLaughlin is not running away. It's separated by about half a second between the 4th and 5th place cars. We ride on board with Matthew now. Once again, back through that first corner. Hollander seemingly gaining as Armand is another victim here into the gate as he trundles his way through there and eventually gets the car going. Top a little bit higher than that because Jacob Abrams is leading an absolute train. Wassel, Stad, and Fajarian. No, excuse me, that's not Fajarian. I think that's a lapped car in there. So 3-car fight. Momeyer is going to get up high out of the way. That's the yellow and red machine you see up on the banking. Abrams in the black car, down low. Wassel in the white and blue. He's giving chase. Didn't get the exit that he wanted coming off of turn 2, and this has dropped him back slightly.
It has to see if Momeyer is going to hold up these guys here. It's an awkward spot to get caught as a lapped car, and he is unfortunately in.
That was Etienne again, just hasn't figured out that braking point into that turn yet.
Hasn't figured out the brakes. Look behind, the battle for 11th place. Dustin Heindel going to get overtaken there by Thomas Boilo. Up the inside, textbook move in the end.
Yeah, not a common place where you see overtakes, but brave stuff. Let's take another look at that. Boilo, this would be a great onboard. He spied an opportunity and just snagged it. So as we come back live, that's going to give Thomas 11th place. That battle has separated between Abrams and Stad. But Stad and Fajarian are still, well, now they're close. They weren't close before. In fact, I think Sevic is going to be able to look on the high side in that 888 machine. The white and mint colored car almost coming together and has to give a little bit more space to Stad. Lapped car of Momeyer in front of them. Hopefully won't cause problems. They're going to want to lap him soon. Is he going to stay to the outside? Nice move. Oh, but he's still going to get touched. And I think that was Stad, who unfortunately shoves him to the outside, and he's not going to be able to make the turn.
So, pull it up, reverse it, and get it going again. And he will resume the racetrack. Pretty close battle for 14th place on the racetrack. Bayan Salehi just off in front of Rennie Bruns and Jonathan Golden. These three guys are battling for P14. Looks like Golden's actually lost a spot on this lap already to Rennie Bruns, so he's got the pace out of this trio.
Watch them come out of the final corner. We're already halfway through this race, and they're way too far separated for a pass attempt here into turn 1. I'm keeping half an eye on 9th, 10th, and 11th as well, because that one is actually quite close. And in fact, I think Boilo is going to get a nice slipstream here. There you see it on screen. He's pulling up to the back of Wassel. This is looking for a top 10. What has he got on him? Reels him in, shows his nose. There's his intentions, looking for the inside, but he thinks twice of it and pulls back in.
Look at the heat coming off the exhaust there. You can see the effects on the camera from the what would you call it, Joe? What is it called? I mean,
the heat haze.
The heat. Yeah, there you go, the heat haze. It's pretty cool.
The distortion effect is one of those cool little details that iRacing adds just to give it that little bit of realism, as a look to the inside from Boilo is not going to produce results. Wassel chops him off. This is our best fight. He's going to get another look at things, and he keeps it farther down to that inside wall as they come onto the oval portion. Interesting.
This is going to be tight. These three are going to be right on top of each other in just a second here. Michael Wassel going to look to the high side then of Alan Stad. That's going to open up the inside for Thomas Boilo. It's like a NASCAR race between these three now through 1 and 2 of the NASCAR track. Do they go 3 wide? Look at the run that Boilo's got. He pulls to the inside of both of them. Right down to the left-hand side. 3 wide into the gate's not going to work. Boilo late on the brakes. Overshoots it. Goes straight on. Alan Stad keeps P number 9 on Wassel. Slots into 10th. It's Boilo. Runs into Dustin Heindel as he tries to rejoin the track.
Well, it was a brave maneuver, but unfortunately, I think his ego was a little bit bigger than his foot, unfortunately, and that cost him. Boiler's going to have to regroup and gain some of that ground back if he wants those positions now. That was a lot of time lost. Wassel's still in the fight, though. He managed to come out of the other side, still behind Stad. Let's see if it's easier for him to try and fight with only 2 cars out there as they come onto the oval once more.
Don't think he's quite going to be close enough this time, but we'll stay on board with him, looking out through that front windscreen at a packed Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Across what is normally the start and finish line when you come racing here in California at Vest Oval, as Stad trying to shake that slipstream as they run through 1 and 2. Wassel's closing in. You can see it on the delta down at the bottom of your screen. The gap coming down, it was over half a second. It's now just 0.3 of a second. Onto the brakes with the gate. He closes up even more. Gets it turned in nicely, and he's shut that down gap very much so through there.
He's only got about a car length and a half between himself and Wassel.
Did I say this was in California?
You did indeed. I wasn't going to say anything.
I think I've done that twice today, actually.
Yes, it's in Nevada.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be excused. I could not tell you where all the states are in Australia.
I claim being Australian.
At a disadvantage, clearly, here is Stad, who has the advantage of track position right now, is going to have to fend him off once again. And they pick up speed over 100 miles an hour before they even get onto the tri-oval portion. And then by the time they cross the traditional start-finish line, 140 miles an hour, still picking up, looking out through the rear wing of Stad. It's going to take the middle of the road. Wassel, is he going to look to the high side again? We saw him try this before. That time, though, he had a car behind. This time, he doesn't have to worry about that. Defending the inside. Stad going to try and cover him off. He's very, very shallow. And look at that, not as deep on the brakes as Wassel manages to get through, and he's got it.
Great move from Wassel around the long way up the gate to get himself up into P number 9. And next up for him is 4 seconds up the road. That's Vakarian.
Let's take a look at our leader because we haven't checked in on him in a while. Silva is actually still back there, but it's 3.5 seconds. And I think that those problems with traffic really killed his opportunity to try and challenge for this victory because this gap has not been coming down.
No, it's not. It's out to 3.4 seconds now. And Bloom is looking very comfortable out front to take his second victory in as many races. Although, as we saw last week, it's not quite over till that checkered flag flies. So Zuckerberger took it away right at the death there at Laguna Seca, but fortunately for him, Bloom was able to just take it back.
Certainly, as we now put the cameras on Silva. Ooh, he is really pushing the limits, though. You saw him get right up to that outside wall. Thankfully, did not touch it, but he's trying his darndest to see if he can pull in Bloom. There is still 9 minutes, rather, left in the race here today. So, again, from what we've seen with the lap traffic, it is not out of the question that something could happen and Silva could get his chance. Back in 6th place, Bolton and Abrams in a very tight fight. And actually, Bolton is going to go wide. A bit of a slide from Abrams trying to collect the car, not to run into that red Porsche as they now come on to the oval. That's Fajarian. This is all 3 for position that we're looking at. I think Abrams is going to get a fantastic run here. Fortunately, not going to be given the inside, I think. Oh, they both swing high. He's going to look low, and then the door gets shut. It opens up again. He gets his foot in. Abrams going to give it a go. He's got to be deep on the brakes, and he's got to be clean. We've seen this happen before. He's going to overshoot it. Patience is the key in this corner. Bolton shows it, and he retains his place.
McLaughlin's had some trouble as well. He's just rejoined the racetrack. You just saw it there, and he comes back just in front of Jacob Abrams. We'll take a look at a replay.
That was lap traffic, unfortunately. Just a car rejoining when he wasn't expecting it, and the 301 lost a lot of spots from that. That puts him down in 7th. That puts Lawrence back into 3rd, so he's now looking at a podium, and Hollander into P4. Still got a battle going on between Bolton and Fajarian. Once again, going up high, opening things up, and now he can't shut the door. Sevic is going to be able to get through. Now, will he fall victim to what we saw before? Can he get a tidy line? That's lap traffic in front of him. That's Ron Palmer. Is he going to play a problem? Actually blinks a little bit. No, he's going to pull completely out of the way to let them through. A clean pass, though, with Fajarian now jumping up to 5th.
And Walton will go back to 6th place as a result of that. And I've noticed, too, Bloom's lead is coming down out front. Silva's starting to run him in. It was 3.4 seconds last time I checked, and it's 2.3 now.
That's a good point. Let's watch from Silva's perspective. Really get a sense of that speed now as we ride through the oval. NASCAR 1 and 2. And then we've got a slam on the brakes up here, down into the gate. This has caught out so many drivers already today, but Silva, he was one of them earlier. He's not going to be one this time.
Bloom's being held up by lap traffic. You can see it there. Gap comes down by 4/10 in just one corner as a result of that. He was 8/10 quicker last time by.
It's Nyhoff. Oh, and he's going to weave out of the way so that he doesn't hold up Silva. 1.1 seconds between Bloom and Silva now. I said the lap traffic could play an effect in this race, and indeed it did. Wonder if this is close enough that he could start to get a whiff of the slipstream. It wouldn't be enough to close up completely on him, obviously. That car we saw off to the side, that was Roban. So minute 17, minute 18 laps. I think we're looking at about 4 to go here.
Yeah, something close to that.
Potentially 5 laps left. More lap traffic for Bloom up ahead. You can see it. That's Eric Walsh in front of him. Ooh, and the tires are starting to give way. The lap times have definitely been coming down. Well, going up, I guess you should say. And I wonder if the heat is really chewing up these tires.
1.1 seconds quicker last laps. Over the last 2 laps, he's gained 2 seconds. Nico Silva, he's absolutely flying relative to Connor Bloom. As the laps car of Walsh will get out of the way of Bloom, Silva's going to be hoping he has a much easier time of it. The first car generally always has a harder time getting by the lap guys because they sometimes don't see you coming and see the lap comparison there. Lap 16, Bloom's sloping it up, but suddenly the tables turned.
He's a little bit slower this time, so Silva may be struggling a little now. He's going to get some help from the lapped car in front of him. Walsh is going to give him a nice little tow across the tri-oval. He's not going to want to stay behind him, though, once he hits the gate. He's going to want to try and get by. The question is Walsh going to be willing to give up that much time? Because he's not terribly close at the moment. And he's going to stay ahead of him. Nope, he's going to pull way out. Oh, that is great sportsmanship from the 429 to let those two continue on. And actually, that did help Silva a little bit. It's up to 1.3 now.
Of course, Silva and Bloom, both with experience in the real world, in motorsport as well.
I think we had some issues for Golden. He's about to get lapped here. So he's going to get caught very quickly. Let's see what put him in this position. Oh, looks like turn 1. Just a little bit too difficult to retain grip. Slides it up on the curb. Thankfully, is able to get the car going again. He's running in 15th with Bloom now close behind. Check in on this battle now for 10th place, Heindel and Wassel. Heindel
What about
in
the contact in
black car.
7th place? Jacob Abrams just got sideways. He was side by side with James McLaughlin coming into turn 1. Squeeze was put on Abrams and he went for a slide down on the apex. See, McLaughlin got the run out of the final corner. Abrams trying to fend him off from the inside. Laps car just in front. They come together and Abrams comes off worse for wear.
So a little bit rough here at the end, which I think, let's see, what have we got left? Minute 30. So 2 laps to go here, because Bloom is just crossing the line now. There you see him on screen in a very recognizable Porsche livery. Still got 2 seconds over Silva. He's responded. He saw him coming, and he's not going to sit around waiting. Still, he's got a lap and a half left to go here. Let's not also forget about Nielsen Lawrence. For his issues losing the lead with lap traffic, he's recovered nicely. It's only 4.5 seconds between himself and the leader, and he's got a handy gap behind. So even though he probably is not looking likely for a win here, this podium looks pretty well wrapped up for him.
It does. He's got 13 seconds over Hollander. Bloom steady through the gate. Now is starting to open up the gap once more. It's at 2.3 seconds now. Whatever issues he had, which may have just been getting through lap traffic, has resolved itself. And with just a tick over 15 seconds on the clock, he's just going to push this one to an extra lap. When he comes across, he'll take the white flag for one more lap around Las Vegas Motor Speedway's road course.
Just one circulation. And he'll get 2 for 2 at the start of this series. Looking like the man to beat at this point. Silva still keeping him honest. Got to give him credit for that. He's not given up. He's not let him just run away with everything and pushed him the whole time as they come onto the tri-oval for the final lap. We're not missing really much in the way of battles through the field. Everybody's pretty well spread apart, and we're down to about 13 of our 30 starters still on this lead lap. Bloom out of NASCAR 2 and onto the backstretch. This could be his biggest worry, making sure he doesn't throw it away in this corner that has caused so many to throw it away this evening. He's going to get through clean. Now he just has to cycle through the infield the last time, and he's got his second victory in his hands. A double right-hander coming up. Off onto the front stretch. Nice and smooth from the number 24. This is going to give another victory for Connor Bloom here in Las Vegas. Silva follows him in second place, and Nielsen Lawrence rounds out your podium. Poor Hollander's kind of all on his lonesome. 14 seconds ahead, 13 seconds behind, but still a fourth place, just shy of spraying the champagne. Fajarian's going to follow him home in fifth.
Great drive from Bloom to take that victory. Didn't have it all his way. He had to fight for that one. And rightly so, doing some victory donuts out there on the racetrack as everyone else comes across the start-finish line to solidify whatever position they're running in. No battles to the line like we often see occasionally in various series across the iRacing service. 12th place looks pretty close, as does this one here for 9. Salehi is going to fend off Heindel though.
Just going to say, he was really, really tight to him. In fact, all of them were close behind. That was all for position across the line at once. The last one on the lead lap is going to be Wassel, who unfortunately finds himself turned around on the last lap. So he'll eventually get it there. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews to watch on your screen, because you're going to see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We just watched a race on the road course. That's right, the road course here at this oval. I'm not sure many of you even knew that that was here if you didn't watch this race, but the Porsche Owners Club E Series has found another victory for Connor Bloom, his second in a row. And Nico Silva, who kept him very, very close for much of the race, fought him for the lead for a little while, just didn't have anything for him in the end and followed him home. Nielsen Lawrence with a nice third from seventh. He briefly led, but lap traffic was his bane today. How about Matthew Hollander, though? From 13th on the grid to fourth, a nice climb. Civic Fajarian was fifth today, with Michael Bolton coming home in P6, climbing up from 14th himself. And then James McLaughlin finished in seventh. Jacob Abrams was P8. Brian Salehi, was ninth. And then Dustin Heindel, big clap for him, 21st to 10th.
Did a very good job. Running Bruns coming across in 11th place at the end. Alan Sad 12th. Michael Wassel was a final car in the lead lap in 13th. Jonathan Golden, Eric Welsh, David Nyhoff, Michael Robin, Armin Ambertson, I think, was 18th, and Colin Queen and Ron Palmer riding out your top 20.
21st went to Scott Adams with Jim Slavic in 22nd. Then you got Peter Latier in 23rd, Jeffrey Schulam in 24th, and John Mulmeyer in 25th. Haynier and Boiler were the last that seemed to finish this race, and everybody from there on down was DNFs. Today, we've got our winner with us, Connor Bloom. And Connor, that was a bit of a wild one, to say the least, but talk to us about that corner re-entering into the infield. You saw a lot of drivers obviously get taken out with that. Did that kind of change the way you approached that corner, seeing how many it bit?
Yeah, definitely. And especially towards the second half of the race, as the brakes got hot, we had to start breaking up that braking zone. So yeah, that was definitely like the toughest corner for sure.
Speaking of heat, I don't know if you took a look at the temperatures. It was 129 Fahrenheit on the track surface. It was a scorcher, which makes sense since we're in the desert. Were you feeling that? Was it a lot more difficult to keep the car under control this week compared to last week?
Yeah, for sure. It was greasy. That was one of the toughest things about this track is, it's in Vegas, it's in the middle of the desert, so it's super hot, and we're constantly making setup changes to try and account for that.
Now, this is, I have to admit, this is the first time we've ever actually covered a race here on the Vegas road course. Have you ever run this track either in iRacing or real life before?
No, I actually just bought it last week. I've never been here, first time.
Clearly, you're quite good at it. Seems like this is definitely a good series for you. You're 2 for 2. Can you carry this momentum on for a three-peat?
I sure hope so. I've been to Sonoma, so we might have a better chance there, and I'm going to try and keep the momentum rolling.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing how you fare. And again, congratulations on the victory.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe.
It's Connor Bloom, our winner here today from fourth to first. Up next, Ryan has caught up with second place finisher Nico Silva.
And Nico coming up just short today after putting it on the pole. It was a tough race up there, a lot of chaos in the early stages, most definitely for you guys. Just how was that race for you?
It was much better than last time. I did a really good job. So did Connor and Nielsen. We were doing really consistent. Unfortunately, what was the deciding factor here was who was able to stay out of more trouble, and it seemed like that Connor got on top of this. And that's not to take away any of his performance, because he was out flying and consistent and not giving me any single room to catch up.
Yeah, he towards the end started to drop quite a bit. You reeled in about 2 seconds over the course of a couple of laps there. Did you start to think at that point you might be potentially a win on the cards again, or did you see potentially some issues at preventing Bloom from going fast at the time?
No, I really thought that I was strong enough for the win. Again, it was just bad luck. I was involved in some lap traffic that really impeded and grew that gap between myself and Connor. And at least it wasn't as worse as what happened to Nielsen when he was in first. But you know, this is a part of racing, and congratulations to both for putting on a really strong race. I had a lot of fun.
What are your thoughts on the lap traffic then? Because I think you guys had a few issues with them over the course of the race.
Yeah, it seemed like he was kind of racing with us, banging doors, not giving any room for the leaders. And so, I was more fortunate to have him lined up on in a situation where, he couldn't do any more damage to what I could have done. But, you know, again, these things happen. You got to be prepared and you got to do your best to get through it without losing too much or getting out of control.
I think you did a very good job today to pick up the podium after the race you guys had out there on a very tricky track, it seemed, out at Las Vegas road course. Before we let you go, who are the people and the sponsors that get it done for you?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank again Matt Hollander and the POC for putting up a very well built, well done, and well well performed series and league. You guys for doing a great job too. I watched a race after the race with you guys, and I really enjoyed it. My sponsors: CSDS Aircraft, New Gen Aerospace, Le Curie Paris, Heel Thread, Cambox Mecca, Husky Motorsports Technology, MRS Molitor Racing Systems, PH2 Nutrition, and Reach Out Worldwide. I think that's everyone.
Thank you very much, Nico, and hopefully we get to talk to you next time. So good luck for the rest of the season.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Was Nico Silva, who finished second. Then we've got our third place finisher, last the podium, Nielsen Lawrence, with us. And Neil, before I get to you to talk about that lap traffic, just a reminder, we are a family show. But man, that has got to be gutting finding yourself losing the lead. If you had been able to keep the lead, do you think you could have held back guys like Bloom and Silva?
Yeah, that was really unfortunate what happened, but it's just part of racing. And Connor Bloom is really fast, and Nico is very fast. As I was trying to reel him in after that unfortunate event, I was reeling him in slowly. It would have been really interesting to continue our dicing from last week with Nico Silva, and we might have been able to bring something to the table for Connor Bloom. It certainly would have been a show.
And it sounds like you've been involved in racing for a while here from a rather young age. It's impressive to see what you can do against some of these pro level drivers. Uh, when we go to Sonoma, do you feel like that maybe with a little bit more luck, you could snatch one away and stop Bloom's what seems to be a bit of a trend going now for him?
Yeah, I'd really like to. I've been racing. Well, I've been time trialing, right? My dad and I got into the Porsche Owners Club when I turned 16 with our old Mustang, and I'm just lucky to be part of this series, and this is a really great place to showcase some of the skills that I have. But Connor's a wonderful driver, and I'd like to take it to him at Sonoma for sure.
Well, we look forward to seeing if you can manage to challenge him. Before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to thank for this podium?
Yeah. Again, I'd like to thank my dad, my mom, my sister. My sister keeps me alive out here. She lives across the street, feeds me, which is kind of nice. My friends out in North Carolina, I think from last week, Connor, Nick, Mackenzie, and Shannon, all rooting for me at 10:30 or 11:30 their time right now. So can't thank them enough.
Awesome stuff. That was Nielsen Lawrence, our third place finisher here today at Las Vegas. And finally, up next, a driver who had a lot of interesting fights today, Michael Bolton, has caught up with Ryan.
Bolton, you were in the thick of the action today, getting 8 spots over the course of the race, so a pretty good drive from you. How'd your race pan out from your perspective?
That was turned out better than I expected. The tires just weren't working for me today. Qualifying the last couple of days in practice, the car seemed pretty good, but as the temperatures get hotter and things change, so does the car. So I think for taking P6, I can't complain.
Now, was your least favourite corner on the track the gate at the end of NASCAR 1 and 2?
That was definitely one of them, and I think also coming around by the pit entry, both just really really dirty, really slick, and yeah, I tried to keep this thing on the road, but as long as I just kind of kept clean laps going, I figured I would do well.
Yeah, I think consistency over the course of the 30 minutes proved beneficial to coming home in 6th in the end. Qualifying, obviously back in 14th, but you did have good race pace. So looking forward to the last 2 rounds of the season, do you think maybe more of a focus towards outright lap times might put you closer to a top 5 when it comes to the end of the race?
Yeah, that's a good question. I do believe that I do have good race pace. I am in a very, very tough spot against Connor and Nico and a lot of these great drivers. So, I'll try to give them a fight, but I got to give it up to them. They had a great race.
Certainly did, and thank you for joining us up here in the Global Sim Racing Channel Commons Box for a quick chat.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Matt Hollander. Thank you for putting this on, and looking forward to next week.
All right, well, thank you very much. Good luck for the next few races.
That was our 6th place finisher, Michael Bolton, and that's going to take us to close here for our broadcast with a few thank yous along the way, starting with our sponsor, Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila, celebrate now. Find out more at octaviotequila.com. This race was also brought to you by Century Financial Consultants, making the best of your life the best of the rest of your life the best of your life. Get it right. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Big thanks to the Porsche Owners Club for hiring us to cover this series. It's been a blast to watch. And thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast that you can see listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Sean, Ryan, and Doug. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media, where our Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, we've got a merchandise store linked below. It's gsrc.storenvy.com, where you can get all kinds of swag. And while you're down there, make sure that you hit the big red subscribe button so that you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. As we mentioned before, we're hopping right back across the border, back to California, to Sonoma. That'll be Saturday, May 2nd at 10:15 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Up next, coming soon, we're going to have the New Zealand 2K Cup, so don't miss that in a couple hours. But until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.